the fourth episode of the Dr. Ncuti era premiered, and I found it kind of enjoyable. I know it's strange to sound, considering my past reviews, but I did not dislike this episode. It actually was interesting, had some good elements of suspense and mystery even, although the end was not a surprise. Became pretty obvious what was happening, but I think it told the story better than we've seen. And honestly, it's very clear to me why I found this to be more enjoyable. So this episode, written by Russell T Davies, opens up in 2024 Wales, and the whole show opens just without any title sequence. Dr. Ncuti and Ruby walk out. They start talking, and Dr. Ncuti steps onto what appears to be, they call it a fairy circle.
I said anything.
No, tell me what happened.
It's basically just some sort of talisman of some sort on the ground, made of twine and cotton and all sorts of little trinkets and some messages in scrolls. Ruby starts to read them, and one of them actually says, "Rest in peace, Mad Jack." She looks around and suddenly finds the doctor's gone.
All right, don't be doing that to me.
She can't find him anywhere. She tries to get in the TARDIS. The TARDIS is locked. She can't get in. The only person she sees is a woman off in the distance. She can't quite see her. She's off in the distance, and she seems to be gesturing in some way.
Where's the doctor? Where is he? What have you done to him?
Ruby tries shouting to her, no response other than just these strange little gestures with the hands moving up and down, shrugging. And she tries to approach her, and the woman continuously gets further away. It maintains the same distance, but gets further away. Well, that's what the 73 yards is, as we learn later on, but you can figure that out pretty early if you're paying attention. Ruby eventually starts walking back towards a town area, and she encounters a hiker. And I think this is the same woman we've seen throughout this season so far. And she, Ruby asks the hiker to go talk to the woman, see what's going on. We could see off in the distance. So, the hiker goes up to the old woman and then suddenly just runs off after engaging with her. So whatever was said is clearly terrifying to this woman. Ruby walks into town, goes into a pub. And she starts talking about what she found out on the cliff.
Like strands with these things.
Witchcraft is a very strong word.
And then there's a banging on the door.
Oh, don't.
And they say, "Oh, it's Mad Jack. Mad Jack's come back."
Who was he? He was insane.
And he's dead.
Turns out it wasn't Mad Jack. It was just a delivery guy.
Hurry up, I got my hands full.
Ruby asked one of the people in the pub who's leaving to talk to the old lady, and he does, and the same thing happens that happened to the hiker.
Oh my God, Josh is running.
He runs off, and he never comes back to the pub. So Ruby stays there for a few days, and eventually she gets kicked out, goes home to her mother and grandma. So she explains to her mother what happened with the woman, and she and Ruby's mom and Ruby decide, let's see what's going on. So they go outside into the street and see the woman the same distance away. Ruby and her mom decide, let's stay in contact on the phone. So Ruby's mom approaches, and there's some interference on the phone. Ruby can't hear what's going on. And then Ruby's mom looks at her and runs away.
Mom, don't listen to her. Please don't do this to me, Mom. Mom, don't do this to me, Mom.
What is this woman? What is she saying? And why is it that everyone runs away from Ruby whenever she says it? Whatever was so terrifying that Ruby's mom won't even let her back in the house. She files an injunction, so she can't go in. So time passes. Ruby's still living in town, but staying away from her mom. She's getting by the job at a shop somewhere, and ultimately ends up meeting with Kate Lethbridge-Stewart from Unit.
I'm Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and I think I can help.
I don't know if Ruby reached out to Unit or what. Kate, explains how Unit is skilled in such areas of extraterrestrial issues and apparently now supernatural. They decide to engage the woman, take her into custody, are confident that their psychic barriers and training will keep them from having the same reaction. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way.
Disengage.
Kate, no, Kate, you can't leave. Kate!
Unit and Kate, they all run off, leaving Ruby alone there. And ultimately, basically, Ruby just starts living out her life. The woman constantly present, 73 yards away all the time. And we basically see, the next 10 to 20 years of Ruby's life. We see her going on dates and she really can't maintain a date. They all mention that, it always seems like there's something distant between us, like something else is distracting you.
You're not really listening, like you're drifting off, thinking of something else. Well, like now, to be honest.
Of course, it's that, old lady who's 73 yards away, constantly there in Ruby's eyes and mind. So one day she's on a date, and on television, she sees a politician running for office. And this politician's name is, I'm going to mispronounce it, Roger Ap Gwilym, Gwilliam. Looks like, should be William, but it's Welsh. I'll just call him Roger Ap, or just Roger. So that calls back to a line in the beginning of this whole show.
Mind you, Roger Ap Gwilym, that's a bad example of the Welsh. Terrifying.
Oh, yeah?
The most dangerous prime minister in history.
Dr. Ncuti mentions a prime minister from Wales who almost brought the world to the brink of World War III and nuclear annihilation. And this is in Ruby's future when they first arrive. So now they're caught up. So now Ruby spent all this time living her life, and now she's at the present when this politician comes to power. So she thinks maybe she's there to stop him. Another thing that gives her a clue is apparently this politician used to go by the name Mad Jack.
I was a jack of all trades. Mad Jack, they used to call me.
Mad Jack.
Mad Jack is, of course, one of the names that was on that on a scroll in the fairy circle. It was also the name mentioned by the people in the pub. So it does seem that Ruby has found a connection to how all this started, and she's going to stop the prime minister somehow. So she decides to join the campaign. Along the way, we hear various things from the guy running for prime minister, Roger, which definitely makes it sound like he's meant to start a war.
Are you saying that you actually want to fire a nuclear missile?
I kind of think this might be drawing an analogy to another certain politician, populist politician recently and currently, who people seem to think would also start wars. Didn't quite happen during those first 4 years of his administration, but I think that's the clear analogy. Regardless, Ruby continues in the campaign, and Roger Ap is elected prime minister. He's scheduled to deliver a speech in Cardiff. It's all getting set up, and Ruby realizes this is her opportunity to act.
I'm sorry it took so long, because I think I'll only get one chance, and I had to make sure I was right.
So while the prime minister is, going through a practice run, standing on the stage, she runs out onto the soccer pitch and tries to position herself so she's 73 yards away from the prime minister.
72 73 yards.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Again, it becomes pretty clear what's happening, knowing 73 yards away. She's trying to put the old lady next to the prime minister in the hopes that whatever she says will make him run off in fear. Which it does. He apparently then quickly resigns and won't say anything about it. So of course Ruby's very happy. She's stopped, nuclear war. And then basically we flash to 40 years in the future. Yeah, Ruby continues to live her life. She's towards the end of her life. She's in a nursing home. And The woman shows up again. It's closer and closer. And then it appears Ruby dies. And then we have a shift and change in perspective. We then see it's like a first person view reaching out with an old woman's hands. And it's looking at Ruby and Dr. Ncuti just after they arrived on the cliffside at the beginning of the episode.
Spectacular! We are in Wales!
So this basically confirms that the old lady all the time was Ruby, and this is going back to the beginning. Present day younger Ruby, where it was at the beginning of the episode, starts noticing something, tells the doctor to stop before he steps on the fairy circle.
Oh, no, don't step.
Ruby starts looking at the scrolls, and Dr. Ncuti stops her from opening them, saying, let those be for the people who left them there. And, time is restored. So that's the episode. Overall, like I said, I found it to be suspenseful. There was definitely some horror elements during certain parts. The whole, what is being said, what is causing these people to run off, that's some of the mystery. But in the end, I think, the problem with this episode, and again, there's elements that are enjoyable, which is different than I've seen so far in Doctor Who this year. It means nothing. None of that what happened has any consequence towards what's happening in this season. Nothing is learned about Ruby's nature, which they've been hitting at the entire time. The girl with the key who's the key to everything, the new impossible girl, whatever Ruby is. None of that is hinted in here what it is. Maybe there's something there because this whole time thing happens. But there's no answers given. And this show doesn't give any answers. It doesn't propel the whole plot forward. And I was thinking back, and it kind of reminded me as I was thinking about it of the episode Turn Left, when Donna Noble was with David Tennant's doctor.
1, 2, 3.
Donna had an opportunity to change her life, and she did.
Suppose you're right. Turn right and never meet that man.
That ultimately, that little decision resulted in the death of the doctor.
The doctor is dead.
Changed everything. So the analogy to me was like, this is sort of like an alternate timeline. Just Donna lived an alternate timeline in that sequence. Ruby's living an alternate timeline here, but the difference, of course, is Donna's timeline had an effect.
This whole world is going to blink out of existence because a better world takes its place. The Doctor's world.
It related to the overall story, related to the doctor. This one has nothing to do with the doctor. It just kind of is like a one-off, like kind of what if? I mean, as a Twilight Zone or Outer Limits show, it'd be cool. But I don't know that it necessarily works overall for Doctor Who and what story they're trying to tell overall. It just ended up kind of being pointless at the end. So that's my critique of the episode. I actually thought Millie Gibson did a decent job. I think she actually works better without Ncuti Gatwa there. She doesn't seem as silly. And, Dr. Ncuti not being present, I think also made me like this episode a little more.
I am absolutely lovely.
I don't like his characterization of the Doctor. I don't like the way they interact together. I feel like they're way too childish. Doctor and companions have had fun before all the time, but these are like two annoying kids. Of course, there was no singing or dancing or anything like that. It was just a story. It took place in the Doctor Who universe, which could have taken place anywhere else, I guess, if you really think about it. So I guess RTD still can write some interesting stories as long as Dr. Ncuti's not involved. Dr. Ncuti, of course, will be back for next week's episode, but this may be the one episode this entire season that I enjoyed for what it was. Not that it was great, not that it had any purpose in the end, but it told a story that kept me interested. Maybe that's all we can ask for these days. Questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click all those good buttons. See you guys later.